Okay, so it is Thursday, April 23rd at the time of my recording this portion of the video. And in about 4.5 hours, I should be going to locals. And I'll be playing what you see here, the Liberator Aqua deck. I'm sure looking at my level 3 lineup, you probably have some questions. So first and foremost, I only own 2 copies of the BT19 Sangomon here. That's the only reason I'm only running 2. As for the Digivolution cost -1 Sangomon from BT21, I was running 4 copies of this card, but after extensive playtesting, I found that I wasn't benefiting from that effect as much as I would have liked, and consequently, I would prefer doing a 2-2 split between it and the EX11 Sangomon, just because drawing a card is kind of nice for staying up on hand, and sometimes you'll end up drawing into like tamers and options and stuff like that when you need more Digimon, or you need like a specific level or something like that for whatever play you're trying to make. So yeah, this is the lineup for now. Whenever the other 2 BT19 come in, this and that will have swap ratios. This card is much more important than you may think, because while yes, the on play is amazing and triggers a wide variety of your effects, the other thing that's really important is the jamming. Sometimes you just need to swing out on a level 4, and having the jamming to do that in the first place is really, really good. I shove this thing under Lanamon with her own effect all the time for that very reason. So, with that out of the way, let's move on to the level 4s. Because I'm running Pokemon, I actually did adjust my level 4 lineup to account for the fact I wouldn't be drawing off of a Puyoyo as much, which is why I'm running 2 copies of Shelmon promo. The other reason I'm running this card is because when I was running the other Shelmon, I think it's also in BT19, that plays out a tamer, a Yao tamer. I frequently found myself not really being in a position to make use of that effect, or if I needed to toss out a level 4, sometimes I wanted to conserve either this Lanamon or this Calamaramon, or I might have done a setup where the Lanamon is under Calamaramon so that she would decode into it. So having a Shellmon that I was playing out and not getting any value off of it just caused me issues. There were a substantial number of games that I won, but I was like, you know, if this was the promo Shellmon, I could have drawn a card and maybe made a better play. So that's why we swapped. The end of attack, inheritable being draw a card instead, does mean you have less memory gain effects, but I think it's fine because it helps you keep your assortment of pieces in hand up, and I am running another card that helps with Digivolution cost reduction consistently, so the loss of memory gain is pretty okay. Then for level 5s, I am running 10, which is probably the weirdest thing about this deck. I should maybe go down, but we're on 4 Marine Bull, very important, 2 Mega Seedramon. This is the EX8 one, I believe. Yes, also very important. And then I'm on 2 Mega Seedramon X Antibody. So this is something I started running at the behest of someone else. I was running a different Mega Seedramon at first, but I swapped because, like, of course, digivolving this on top of the Mega Seedra is really nice, but preventing yourself from being redirected comes up in a number of matchups. Like, I think a lot of the time when I was playing against Arie with Galactic, for example, even though they could stop me from suspending, they couldn't really stop me from disabling them. Eventually they deck out before me, and it was very frequently because they just did not have a way to swing out at me without me, you know, blocking them or negating their attacks or redirecting them into me and stuff like that. I mean, you can still do attack negation, but if the attacks can't be redirected, that's kind of like the bigger thing, right? And Galactic's always going to be bigger than you, so redirecting into itself is like whatever, you know. The last 2 are Skull Seedramon. So this gives me a total of 4 sources that play Digimon out and 4 sources that shove them into unsuspend, but I also really like all of its effects. First, it can trash 3. Then if it was played by effects, you get to delete one of your opponent's Digimon with no Digivolution cards. And then it has the on deletion to play one level 4 lower Digimon card with Seedramon in its name or a TS trait from your trash without paying the cost. So we can play back out the Kalamaramon and stun the opponent on their own turn because they decided to interact with this thing. And then for level 6s, I'm running 5. We got 2 of the BT22 Ryugamon, 2 of the EX11 Ryugamon, and 1 of the Regalicusmon. I hope I'm saying this guy's name correctly. So I actually started running this because of that. So the Ryugamon has this on play when evolving effect. It shoves a source and then one of your opponent's Digimon or Tamers can't suspend. I wanted something like that that's repeatable, and while you do have to play around with memory, it wasn't too hard in practice, and this is still a card that can Digivolve into the Arie, and then Arie can potentially spit it out with the decode effect. Really nice. It will always unsuspend itself with its on player when Digivolving, so you prefer to swing out before going into this guy, so just be mindful of that. The Ryugamon is also really nice. I only meant to pick up one. Only wanted one. The all turns effect is pretty good. Why did I drop it? But yeah, when effects add to this Digimon's Digivolution cards, return one of your opponent's level 5 or lower Digimon to the bottom of the deck. So this can get spat out with decode, and it can just shove whatever from your hand to get rid of a 5 on the opponent's board. How much this matters does depend a little bit on the deck that your opponent is playing, but nonetheless, this is a pretty solid card. One thing to note with the EX11 Ryugamon is it's the only thing in this deck that says decode level or lower, right? So level 5 or lower in this case. Everything else needs a specific level. If you're doing a Rainbow, you need to specifically be spitting out a level 4. But you can be really flexible with this card, and because it has evade, you can actually, like, the opponent can try to delete this, you can spit something else out and then evade with this, and be pretty okay. And then the all turns effect, when effects add to the Digimon's Digivolution cards, return one of your opponent's Digimon with as many or fewer Digivolution cards as the Digimon to the bottom of the deck. So yeah, there have been instances I've gotten rid of, like, Grace Nova with this, so that was cool. And then I'm on 2 copies of Arie. Realistically, I should be running a 3rd, but I only have 2 right now. Similar deal to the BT19 Sangamon. Instead of like a reprint thing, it was more I thought I ordered one to have 3 and I just apparently didn't. But yeah, I should maybe be running a Scramble so I can recover this, but in practice it seemed fine. A lot of the lists that I've been looking at would run 2 copies of Neptune to have 6 level 6s and then 2 to 3 level 7s. But I kept finding a lot of the time I didn't really need Neptune for anything. The protection, of course, is amazing, and I'm not trying to downplay the card at all. But in most of the games I was playing, the extra protection from the Neptune just wasn't necessary, or it ended up not actually being important because you were getting hit with like DP minus or something. It's really nice if you get to a position where you have a wide board, but usually if you have a wide board, you're gonna win anyway, just from like pulling your sources under yourself and doing a bunch of unsuspends and stuff. A lot of people I've seen have been running like 4 copies of 3 to 4 copies really of Mental Train, but I think running the promo Yao is better. She reduces Digivolution cost by 1 when, you know, a source is shoved, so you can Digivolve relatively efficiently, which does happen pretty often, right? And then she gives you an extra memory if your opponent controls a Digimon, so there's also that. Then of course we're running 4 copies of the EX11 Yao, whose effect I haven't memorized in full. So starting main phase, you can place a level 5 or lower card with the relevant traits to gain a memory, and then all turns when your Digimon are played or Digivolve, if any of them have Aqua or Sea Animal in their traits, you get to draw 1, and then if played by Decode, one of your opponent's Digimon can't suspend until their turn ends. So this is kind of funny. She solos the greens. She tells Vortex no, because even when they gain Digimon effect immunity, she still works. Then I'm running 3 of the unique emblem. This could be 4, and I have 2 blue memory boost, which could be other options. One of these could be a level 6, but I just could not find something that I wanted to run. So that's the pre-locals, and I'll see you guys when I head out. Or rather, you'll see me when I head out. I'm recording this like 6 hours after locals because I had to clean up a little bit. After locals, we actually talked a little bit about oh boy, we talked a little bit about the landscape of the format currently, as well as what we are expecting people to play, partially because we might be going to a regionals on Sunday. And then my friend AJ and I actually stopped at his house because he has to pass his house up to drop me off, and he gave me this stuff. I picked up some Gundam stuff last week, and I've been fiddling around with the games. He was like, oh, okay, if you're gonna be building those things, take this, and also take some other stuff that I don't really plan on using that you pulled. So I was like, okay, cool, whatever. Now, I made some adjustments. I was only running 5 level 6s, so I bumped that up with Ryugamon. So these were actually swapped here. The memory boosts were fine. I just didn't feel that they were entirely necessary. They are definitely, I think, better than running trainings in this deck, because there's just not a whole lot of situations the way I have the deck built where the trainings would be particularly important to have. But I do think if you build this, it might be worth running the 4th copy of the emblem, because, you know, as shown earlier, I'm only running 3. Now, initially, when I was doing a lot of my playtesting, well, I have playtested with these, I used this at first. I was like on this 2-2 combination. This is really nice because this can spit out the Sangomon that gives you battle protection at the start of battle, and it's not something that gains you memory end of battle anyway, so taking it out to regain it is fine. Sometimes you'll do it to get an extra early search, what have you, because you can, when attacking with this, spit something out, get the search with it, and then use the second when attacking from like this or the Skull Seedra to shove that card back immediately after you resolve the search. So there's just little things you can do, but having the blocker inheritable immediately off of this can, not inheritable, but the blocker and battle protection immediately off of this being played out by this can be really, really useful in a variety of situations. You might also want to do that because your opponent has a really big body with a redirect, and you just want to get your end of battle effects or whatever, right? Or end of attack, rather. So there's that. I swapped to this for 2 reasons. So not having the D-Digivolve mattered a lot. I expected this was going to come up because when I was playtesting, Sharkmon came up a lot. Even only running that 2 copies, being able to Digivolve the opponent's Digimon either by tossing it out from sources or Digivolving directly into it came up a lot. Also, even though it has that 4, it does Digivolve for 3 on top of the appropriate trait, so that's cool. But if I'm going to be running this, I feel like I should be running the new Marine Bull because I'm going to be milling my cards. Might as well compensate for that. If the Shellmon is in the trash, whether it got deleted or milled by this, I can Digivolve on Sango for 2 or 3, depending on which Sango it is, and I can pivot into Ryugamon or Arie, because here's a really funny thing. With the promo Yao, right? All it cares about is effects adding Digivolution cards to any of your Digimon. This is an effect that adds Digivolution cards to your Digimon. So you could go into this for 2 potentially, do this immediately to go into a, I don't know why I suspended this, but you could go into a Ryugu for 2, right? Because this, unfortunately, like, I wish it had like a when attacking or something to just shove something, because then you could swing and then do it, but whatever. This is also nice because this is another way to play out extra bodies, because I think that is actually a little, like, it didn't come up in the games I've been playing, but it is something that came up before where I was just like, man, I really wish I had more Marine Bull inheritables, but the Marine Bulls don't feel good enough to run. But hey, I had games that made me go, yo, this card is kind of worth it actually. So we'll see. Aside from that, I was earlier in the video running the 5 level 6s. I'm bumping it up to 6 with this. I honestly wanted to run a second copy of this guy to start with, because having the repeatable when attacking one of your opponent's Digimon or Tamers can't suspend as long as I'm doing this at like 1 or less memory is really, really good. It's very easy to get to a situation where you can get that off. And then he also does unsuspend himself on Evo, so that's fine. But yeah, this card is just crazy. This card is hella goated. It very easily outs a lot of things. You can end your turn with this thing unsuspended. Try to remove it. It will evade. It can decode into something anyway, so you get to spit like a Sharkmon back out, and your opponent's just looking at you like, buddy, what? They delete it potentially, and then they get hit with this or this, and they're just like, you know, like I think the potential like RNG value on this is definitely worth it. I just was frustrated by milling myself when I was using it initially, so you know. But yeah, my games I played, round 1 was Ultra S. I got 2-0'd. Game 1 I just lost. I got cooked. I got blown out. I actually had like a Digivolved up the line at level 5 and I was fine, but then I didn't see a 6. I actually had Arie in hand, but I did not have Marine Bull, so I couldn't go into it directly. If I could, that probably would have been okay. Ice Wall actually would have done a lot in that matchup, but I took it out, so you know, I put this back in, taking the memory boost out. What else happened? Game 2 I made a misplay with this. So I was expecting to make this misplay because I keep doing this even on DCGO, but sometimes when attacking I don't use this effect because I keep mentally parsing it as like one of the level 5 inheritables where they need to shove something on board. This instead shoves something from hand, so I could have potentially attempted to out the crest, and then I also would have made it so whatever they went into wouldn't be able to suspend by playing out this. But the bigger thing is I would have been able to trigger the new Yao for the same thing, so even if they would have gotten the immunity from the Blitzcrank, this still would have prevented the Digimon from being able to suspend, so that would have been huge. Round 2, so basically with round 1, I think I could have gotten into a position to win game 2, but then we would have definitely very quickly gone into overtime is the thing. So I don't know, I feel like it's a somewhat polarizing matchup. You can definitely win it, but you have to be more familiar with this deck than I am, for one thing, to make plays as quickly and efficiently as you possibly can. I don't think either of us was slow playing either, but my opponent also was. Jimmy was on Ultra S for the first time, so he was being a bit more careful with it as well. So, you know, that is a factor. The deck can kind of randomly blow you up, but it also does get into these situations where it gets stuck, which did happen a little bit. I didn't utilize my positional advantage as well as I could have, so that's on me. Granted, I don't think I could have utilized it better, given what my hand was, but yeah. But yeah, round 2 I was playing as Yellow Hybrid. Yellow Hybrid, of course, you have the tools to just kind of disable them to some degree, which I was able to do to come back because I was very disadvantaged in game 1. Game 2, I believe what happened was he hit like one of these insecurity, so I think I played one of these with the emblem. No, I put her next to the other Yao, and then he hit, I think, the second copy of her insecurity plus the emblem, so I had the emblem going into my turn with 2 of this. So it was gain 2 off this, gain 2 off this shoving, and then I was able to disable his stuff. So I think I put him down to 0 security because I didn't have the ability to unsuspend enough times. But went into his turn with like a blocker Arie, 3 other bodies on board, and neither of his Digimon could suspend, and then one of his tamers was suspended, the one that could potentially digivolve into something with a bunch of inheritable sources, and then he just had a JP sittings. I think that was the last security card I checked. Round 3, I played against TS, so I believe it's Maruki. The list should be up on Twitter, I think. Well, not right now, but it'll be up on Twitter later. But yeah, I think the matchup was very much winnable, but I kept not seeing enough level 4s. It's just a thing that can happen with the curve out. It's definitely an instance of this card not being the BT19 one mattering, because there was less searching and adding to that I was doing. But I also think I should probably try to run a higher level 4 count, maybe run 12, especially if I'm running the Marine Bull. So it's just a question of what I would even cut, or maybe I just run 11 and then I'm running a 13th Shellmon here, or I could go down to 11 rookies to hit the 12. Whatever, we'll see. I'll be making some adjustments in the coming days, and I will talk about this deck again. I do think it is quite fun, and I would like to play it more. But yeah, I really don't expect to see this at a tournament level, which is something I did talk about with the guys, because as competent as the deck is, it doesn't necessarily win the game as quickly and explosively as Medusa can. And because there's a lot of little things you need to be paying attention to as you are developing your stacks and like playing things out, sometimes you will hit the like crazy super easy OTK, but for the most part I think you end up, it's not something that you can exactly autopilot super easily, I think, once you get used to it. So that is a concern. Like, the mental load of this deck is probably high enough that I think most people wouldn't want to take it to an event. I personally am fine with getting good enough. I just don't think I'm gonna have enough opportunities to go to regionals to just see how well I would do with it. And if I do go to the regionals on Sunday, I will not be playing this. There is something else that I want to play, because I'm pretty sure the deck is solid. I think it's really, really good, but I keep hearing people say it's bad, so, you know. That's it for me for now, and I hope you guys liked this deviation in video style, and I'll try to get better at doing it in the future. Look, I know I was gone for a couple weeks, but I'm not. I'm just going to locals, bro. Okay? I'll be back later. You too.